of backlash that can create.
Hmm. Hello, Hank. How are you? Good evening.
How you doing, young lady? How you doing? How you doing,
I'm
everybody
doing
else?
pretty good.
Up,
Can't
Good.
complain. We're talking about, you just came in on us talking about Carly Russell, the girl from Alabama who was found. She was abducted about 3 days ago and found. I think I said she was found on the 22nd. 22nd's not even here yet. But 3 days later she was found. She, pretty much was at her parents' doorstep. Have you heard about that story, Hank?
Yeah, I seen what's going on social media, and I was on Sweeney's show last night, and
Mhm.
we kind of talked about it too. So yeah,
What do you think
yeah,
about it?
I don't trust it.
Mm,
I don't trust it. So now I know y'all was talking about should she say something? Maybe her personally shouldn't say nothing to the public, but that same woman who had that news conference should be the same woman who let who should be letting the public know that she's good, she's in good
mhm,
spirits, she's working through it, she's getting help. Somebody in her camp needs to say something. But to go
mhm,
zero dark 30 after all the stuff you just did, after all the police participation, and it wasn't like the police found her. All of a sudden she just showed up.
she just showed right.
Yeah, see that yeah. I I don't trust it.
I saw
I
that
don't
there
trust. I mean,
was reports that she was spotted at a Red Roof Inn nearby, like, where she lived at.
well,
So, it's someone says
well,
it's giving Jesse Smollett vibes. It
hey,
it just
hey,
makes you.
hey, let's be straight up. Red Roof Inn is the sneaky link hotel. That's where you go when you literally trying to link up with your sneaky link and you don't want people to know about it. People ain't talking about that.
look here, man.
Not enough anyway.
Ooh.
I
And
said it last night. Her ass went on her host roll. She got away from her boyfriend. She's really probably trying to get out and really tired of him, but her side dude picked her up. Yeah, they found they look for some reason her car was unscathed, unhurt, no damage.
Mhm,
Phone, iPhone, watch was all there. Anything that could give up a location was not with her. I think they did left her wig and everything there. So I think they really try to sell a hell of a story.
mm.
I really do, because when you go like this and don't say anything like what they're doing, yeah, it really leaves question. Nothing is said upon this child. Nobody else reported this child but her. Yeah. So you mean all these people seeing this traffic on the highway, nobody else made a call on this child but you. You's the only brave soul who's willing to get on the highway and put yourself in jeopardy for this child. Nobody else. Nobody else made a phone call. Nobody. Yeah,
now,
dog.
now,
Oh man.
if y'all mind, could we explore Hank's theories? Let's just say she is coming up with the fugazi, right? And and it's exposed. Should she face consequences for that? And what
Yeah,
type of discussion do you?
Hell yeah. Hell
Well,
yeah.
wouldn't it would be what consequences would she face? Is it calling the enforcement in a wrongful manner? Like, what exactly
yeah.
do you think?
So I'm not completely sure of all of the city resources that were used, but there's manpower costs associated with going out and finding people. Those that volunteer, they volunteer on their own. Like if I were to jump in on the search, there's not a manpower cost for me as I'm volunteering my time to go out there. But for the additional resources that the city used up, there should be some recoupment of said resources if it turns out that what some corners of the internet is talking about is what was indeed true.
Gotcha.
And my pushback to that, just to
Uh-uh.
be devil's advocate, is if Karen's not getting any repercussion, why are we enforcing this sister to do so when she did the same exact thing for a different reason?
You said what again?
Wait, yeah, can you repeat that, Sean, please?
I said if Karens are not facing any consequences when they falsely call authorities and make a big stink about something that they were feeling, for example, and it gets all over the news and people get called out and they have no consequences whatsoever. Not to saying it's the same thing, but uh, do we emphasize how much she should, or should we just should we as a community address it and try and face it as opposed to trying to, cancel, so to speak?
Well, most of the times the Karens, it's not like they found a false report because what at the time is going on. It may be exaggerated,
That's fair.
but it is something going on. I mean, if Precious filed a report saying, Hink is harassing me, and the only thing I did was wave at her and maybe looked at her too long or what she considered looking too long. Yeah, that could be a problem. I mean, but it's still I'm not filing a false report, something that's not true. See, because I think, to me, in my opinion, I think a report and was filed falsely. I really do. And again, nobody's saying she go do jail time, but I think she needs to pay a fine. So to me, the fine should be whatever it costs for that manpower for them 3 days that she was missing. Put that on her account. If that means it's $100,000 fine, so be it. I mean, we got to send a message for situations like this. It's not true, and these resources are being put towards stuff like this, and there's actually somebody out there really missing who's really dealing with this, and who's not just trying to get away for a day or two because I'm beefing with my man, or I'm beefing with my girl.
That's a fair assessment, Hank, and I can't even argue that. As a matter of fact, I agree with that. I just was questioning, like I said, playing devil's advocate because although it's not, it is kind of a false report if you waved at Precious and she called and said you were sexually harassing her and you need to go to jail and some of the stories that we have seen. Yet you might get locked up or your hand, detained or what have you, and it's very inconvenient for you, and that's very unfair to you. But there's no consequences to her, and we don't emphasize for there to be well, we might, but we don't get that type of justice. And that's kind of the point that I'm asking about.
Well, you guys gave very good insight on that, because it has so much coverage. I'm sure that people are thinking a lot into it, and what the consequences could be. Is this my thing? Is the story going to change? That's my biggest thing. Is the story going to change? And when it does change, or if it does change, what are we going to hear? Because it may shift how the public participates, unfortunately. That's something that we have to look at. Like, how will the public now participate in things like this? Hello, Grooming and Reviews 101. How are you?
About yourself?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Is there something you'd like to add to this conversation?
Yeah, it doesn't add up. It does not add up to me. It's like something is missing from the puzzle. Like she's gone and then she comes back. Somebody got paid off or something doesn't add up. So that's my opinion, to be honest with you. Like it's like what was a sort of few months back, the two couples were missing and then they both found dead. That didn't add up to me to this day. How you
said
missing
a
like
couple was missing and then they were found dead?
Dead. Yeah, even the bounty hunter got involved in that one. I think it was in Florida, if I'm not mistaken, a while back. Like stuff like that doesn't add up. If somebody's hiding something, or I know it's not our business at the end of the day, but if you're gonna be public about it, why not put it out publicly? That's my personal opinion. If you're gonna ask social media to help out, you need to give all the information possible, and there's results after, because social media us help you find the person. So give us
And
the
that's
information
another
too.
thing. They're saying if someone did take her or whatever the case may be, you will want the public to know who that person is so they can be taken in or found quicker and
Exactly.
easier too. So, what's up,
Well,
Sean?
here's another turn on. Suppose she was just lying to her man, and her man panicked and made all, went, oh my gosh, she's, and put it all through social media because he had the ability to do so, and knowledge and know-how, and he blew it up, and her not realizing how she just lied. Oh no, I had a little issue, and this, she lying to him. He
He
throws it.
did put out a statement. He put out a long statement, as a matter of fact,
I
and
read
he did allude to the fact of thanking the people who didn't think that he had something to do with it. Um, and my thing is, if that's not who you are, like there's nothing that you necessarily have to prove to the people. I'm sure if you had to go to court or whatever the case may be, that's where you prove yourself. But he did put that in his statement that he put out to the public, just thanking everybody for their prayers and thoughts and things like that. But he did include that part in there, and it's like, why include that part in there if you have absolutely nothing to do with the situation, and I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying that some things honestly are better left unsaid.
you kind of you might be lending to the point that I'm making. He's believing his girl. To Hank's point earlier, she out there hoeing. She making up this story. Well, I just, man, I saw a baby and they tried to get me, and I don't know what happened, baby. And he's believing, he's panicking, thinking something, because he was on the phone with her, and he might have been on the phone with her, and the other cat came up, and she go, "Oh my God, what you do?" But they went ahead and did that thing because he might have been like, "Who you on the phone with? You on your phone with your man?" I mean, we could go a whole different
Yeah, because they
direction.
did say they heard screaming in the background.
And
It's just I don't want to say what like what coulda, shoulda, woulda, but when you leave a lot out, you leave a lot of room to do that. And when you just go silent, it's like, okay, what's going on? Is she okay? Has the perpetrator been found? What's going on? So, but I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that because it is a story where, again, social media is so powerful that we should use it in ways where we're able to find people if they're lost. Back in the day, you just put something on a milk carton and hope that the right person saw it. Now we have social media. So because we have that, it's a great tool. But then again, it's like, are we using it for good or are we using it for evil? And in this case, good happened, but what really happened? And I just hope that she gets the mental help and emotional help that she needs, because whether it was sex trafficker, whether it was someone who abducted her, whether it was some men taking advantage of her, no matter, hearing screaming in the background, I don't know if that's too good. So whatever it was, she's still going to need help from it because of the coverage it got. If maybe if it was only in her town or whatever, but now it's like you're being held accountable for this happening to you. So she's still going to need people to help her out and help her through this, whether it was a lie, whether it was just a crazy happenstance with her, no matter what it was. So I'm gonna get to some of these comments. Let's see. Miss Nurse Fancy says, see, having sex will mess your life up. I hope she wasn't creeping. SB says, story is starting to unravel. I don't think they were quite counting on that camera footage on the highway. I did see the camera footage on the highway, and all I really saw was hazard lights. And when I first saw the camera footage, I thought, okay, well, maybe she saw the kid and kind of kept going a little bit. And you know how you're like, did I just see a raccoon? Was that a deer? Like, how you like think back in your head, like, was that just a, and you look back and you're like, nah, and you keep going. Maybe she did see the kid, or a kid. And that's what I was thinking when I first saw the footage of the car. But then I didn't see no kid. I didn't see her go back and see if there was a kid. it was a bit weird. It was a bit weird. Weird. Okay. SB says she reportedly was on the phone with her boyfriend's sister, not her boyfriend. Hmm. The boyfriend's sister. You know how they be trying to get close, child. Quincy says, folks forget we in a surveillance state now. Cameras everywhere. And you're right about that. There are cameras everywhere. So even the footage that we saw, there's definitely probably another angle of that footage that they have that they can also take into this investigation. And so we'll see how it turns out because I'm pretty sure they'll be, reporting something within the next day or two because people are really feeling like they're entitled to know what's going on. And I mean, at some point they're going to have to tell what's going on because it is a running investigation. And so the folks will get what they want. So we'll just keep watching, but we are glad that she is back home safe and whatever happened to her, we hope she heals. Alrighty, so we're going to get into another topic here. So I'm not quite sure who watches the show Love and Marriage Huntsville. I think they're like on their maybe fifth or sixth, maybe seventh season. I don't know. But I do want to talk about this topic with the guys because there is a couple on there where the wife she's now she doesn't have it anymore, but she had breast cancer. And he is reportedly be said to have forced her to have sex with him during her suffering through this. And so I do want to play these videos and get you guys' opinion because when they say, through sickness and health and, all of that, I think this is exactly what they mean, but I want to definitely get your opinion about it. And Jeffrey says, Love and Marriage Huntsville is my ish, which means you have been probably watching from the beginning. You have probably been watching from the beginning. I've definitely been watching from the beginning. I actually met one of the couples on that show at an event that I went to in Atlanta. But I want to get you guys' thoughts on this.
Like there's a happy medium in terms of her
Hold on.
that much of a sexual person to where
I'm sorry, guys. Let me make sure I'm playing the right
Want
one.
or need sex by me while I'm standing by her. As difficult as
what she's going through right now, you still
Alrighty.
that much of a sexual person to where despite what she's going through right now, you still feel like there's a happy medium in terms of her pleasuring you.
there's a difference between wants and needs, all right? And I'm a person who actually needs sex, not a person who wants sex. Now, at times I want it, but I actually need it. Life throws us curveballs like what we're going through right now. What Kimmy is doing is admirable as a spouse. To roll over and suffer through it, fakes it all for me. Because at that moment, it's something that she completely didn't desire. Right? So I look at it as her standing.
All right. So before we play the next video, what do you guys think about this one? I see y'all facial expressions, Grooming and King. Okay, here comes showing out the shadows. So what do you guys think about that before we play the next video? So he's pretty much saying, hey, life throws us curveballs, but in spite of those curveballs, that is my wife. And what she does is, even though she's suffering, when it's time for sex, she rolls over and she fakes it for me because that's her duty to me. What do you guys think about that?
That's a rough.
Huh?
That's a rough and tough one for me because I understand what he's saying, but I don't agree. One, I don't. This whole I need sex. I just want it. That's some BS to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're not dying without sex. Yes, it is it might be that's like saying I need alcohol because you're addicted to alcohol. No, you don't need it. You desire it strongly. That's why it's an addiction. You're not going to die without it. You might act up. You might have some circumstance, some attitudinal scenarios, but you're not going to die. It's not something you're going to die without. You will have strong withdrawals, perhaps. You will have mood swings. You will have a lot of results of you not getting it, but it is not something you need. That's just me. But
Mm.
I digress. Going back to the point, if she's in turmoil, if it's painful, if it's something that is excruciating to her, and he's doing it anyway, that's really inconsiderate of him.
So they didn't talk about as far as the pain level, but he did say that during that time she didn't desire it. Now let me give you like the backstory with them. So they had a very healthy, when they first came on the show and they introduced this couple on the show, they made sure they mentioned that this couple had a very healthy sex life. She's older than him. By how many years I'm not quite sure. But this is his second, she's known to be a cougar, but this is her second marriage. And so the pattern of their sex obviously changed because she didn't have the desire to have sex when she got sick. So I'm not sure if it was like painful or not, but there definitely was a change in their pattern of having and her desire to have sex when she desired it a lot.
And that's why it's a rough one, because I let me put the shoe on the other foot. If it could get up and I'm not able to perform, or I'm not I don't have the desire to perform because of my ailments, but my wife still wants it and I'm able to give it to her, I will see myself sacrificing and doing that for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that it's wrong if that's an agreement that they have. Now that's why I said it's a touchy one for me, because I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's own words, the guy in the video, was he used suffering and fake it. What I don't understand is, like, take away what she's dealing with and what she's going through. Those are two words that he chose to say in describing how it likely seems to be for her. I can't understand any other man on this panel who would even desire or want something. Like, let's take away from the fact that she's sick and she has cancer, right? If my significant other and how I describe our bedroom action was suffering through and faking it just for me, I wouldn't want that. It doesn't matter what the circumstances is. If I'm like, oh, she just throwing it back at me just because she knows that I need it, but by my own words, she's suffering through to do it. How long can that last is what I'm thinking about, at least on his end, because eventually he's gonna be like, all right, well, she just laying there like a Carl's Jr. starfish. I need more. If I can't get it from her, where am I going to get it from? So I think it's a slippery slope depending on how long she suffers through giving him sexual intimacy.
Okay.
Great point.
Grooming and reviews. I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts?
I think he's messed up, to be honest with you. Because if somebody's suffering through cancer, and I've seen it firsthand what chemo and all this stuff can do to you, there are other ways. Here's some lotion. Get a blow up doll and tear yourself. Very simple. Yeah. King has couple King borrow.
Call Pamela Anderson.
But here's my thing. If you really love the woman so deeply, so much, you would do everything to make her comfortable. Forget your sexual needs. Forget anything else. At the point where somebody has cancer, let's say stage 4, the worst one, towards the end, that's the last thing I'm going to think about. I want my wife to survive. I want my loved one to survive. I want her to fight, no matter what. Go and say, my needs are first. This is not 1831, that she needs to lay there and perform, she likes it or not. We're not in that generation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sexually, it should be enjoyable by both parties. If my partner looks at me like, babe, I'm too tired, I'm not in the mood, I'm cranky or whatever, cool, I get it. I understand. We're human. We all have emotions. We all have needs. But
Mm-hmm.
to push somebody, turn around or force you, you like it or not, no. That's not being human. That's being a dog. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Woof, woof, woof. You're right.
Pink, what are your thoughts? And then I'm going to play the second part of the clip.
I mean, I first of all, I probably wouldn't be able to be turned on by the whole situation anyway.
Mm.
I mean, I'm a guy that I couldn't have sex with my ex-wife or my daughter's mother when she was pregnant. I mean, I did it because they wanted it, but it just wasn't.
They say that's supposed to be the best kind, Hank. They say
Yeah,
that's supposed to be the best kind.
I didn't like it.
I don't know about that part, but
Oh, okay. Moving on.
no, if she was going through that, there's no way I could, would do something like that. Now, I did see another clip where I don't know if it's gonna say it in that video, so I don't really want to share it, but I seen another clip where he was talking about outsource.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if it says in it. I don't remember if it says it in it.
Yeah, I seen a clip where he's talking about outsourcing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, so we're gonna play the second clip here. Let's see. And then I'll give my 2 cents.
Her. As difficult as it may seem, it is her standing by me while I'm standing by her. As difficult as it may seem, we should all feel that we would be better people and say, oh, no, I don't want or need sex for however long it takes for you to recover. But we then live in reality where that's not true.
I want to ask you this. So when you say you need sex, not want to, you need it. Obviously, there's things we need. We need oxygen. We need water. There's certain things we need in order to be able to live a healthy life. Why do you need sex?
I need sex like Carlos needs mess.
So he chalks it up to, first of all, on the second video, he says, she's standing by me like I'm standing by her, as if he was equating him staying with her, although she's sick and she has breast cancer, to her doing her duty as a wife to have sex with him, as if they're on the same scale, as if you can weigh those things the same. Because I always thought that men do need sex. However, when real life happens like this, how will you guys react? Because it's something that you don't foresee coming. It's not something that, you plan on happening in your relationship. So, when it does happen, can you easily say, "Oh, well, I don't want to make her uncomfortable, but I also don't want to be uncomfortable by not getting sex from my wife who usually gives it to me." How do you handle a situation like that? Because everyone has needs, and do those needs go unmet because she is sick? Like, are y'all saying that those needs, that you're willing for those needs, those strong needs and those strong desires, to get to not be met if something like that happens?
You know what?
Like, how
Here,
realistic can you be with it?
yeah. So I believe that this guy is doing the things on the back end that he needs to do to take care of her. That's what I am choosing to believe, and that in this one snippet, in this one situation, yes, it's a thing that'll make you raise your eyebrows, because I think most people would say, "Yo, bro, your wife is going through cancer, man. I get that you say you have a need, but like the host even pointed out, a need is something like, man, I need food to survive. I need water to survive. I need to be out of the elements and in a controlled temperature so that I don't get hypothermia, or whatever the opposite of hypothermia is, where you get overheated, because that could cause me to die. Like people in the chat have said, you won't die from a lack of getting your venom out. No, or you could just knock it out yourself. I think that this guy is extremely selfish. I do believe that he is taking care of her. Otherwise, I don't know the type of person she is, but you know, if he's not somebody that is also taking care of her needs as well, chances are she might not be around, her family might get involved. I'm just gonna make some assumptions on that. But to say need, no, no. He he's not a complete demon in this situation, but it's like, hey, come on, man, read the room and get better.
All right. Sean went, right? Everybody went? Did everybody
Yeah.
weigh in on this topic?
This is just another I speak for myself and no one else. I'm going to be selfish moment.
Okay.
That's so, we have so many of these happening right now. There's so many selfish moments in relationships that is, scary.
On this topic, it's hard for me to say what should be done and what shouldn't be done, just because when you're in a union, that's why it's important that you have certain conversations with people, you know, because this could be something that blindsides people in a marriage. And now your marriage is not only going through sickness in one way, it could be going in sickness in another way. And not to say that, cancer isn't the ultimate sickness that, of course, I mean, I would say that's the ultimate sickness that everyone hates. Everyone hates cancer, right? Fuck cancer. That's the hashtag, right? Um, but your relationship can also go in another direction where it starts to get sick, and things start to rot, because it's hard to have these conversations during that time, because you don't want to make someone uncomfortable. They're already uncomfortable. They're already in a place where they're not sure what's happening day to day or what's going to happen day to day. So I think conversations like this, I wanted to talk about this topic because I think conversations like this are important. What would happen? What would you expect from me? And not to say that you can necessarily say exactly what you would do if that were to happen. But just like, we have storms and things like that. Well, if there's a storm, you know that, you're going to this specific place, and you have to have water in your home, and you have to have certain things that's going to keep you, comfortable when the storm comes. It's going to keep you surviving. So I think conversations like this are important, because it's, we realistically, it's like, dang, he's selfish. But at the end of the day, the man do have needs. So it's like, is it as simple as going to the bathroom with the Jergens? And is we don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know what, you know, being sick with cancer necessarily looks like. I don't know what that looks like. So I'm ignorant to that. But there may be someone who knows exactly what that looks like, and they're like, yeah, he needs to go into the bathroom and use the Jergens. Or are there days where you're better than other days? And so it's like, okay, what are we going to be spending our time doing? Now, I'm not quite sure if Pound Town is the activity, but there can be some type of intimacy and closeness and, love that's still resonating there, where you're reminded that the little things matter.
Well, Precious, that was my point of view prior to King making some very distinctive observations about what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering. And what was the other word, King?
Faking it.
And
He
faking
was
it.
faking it for him. Mm-hmm.
So those two observations shifted my thought process, and why I concluded it's very selfish. You can
Mm-hmm.
have those conversations. She can even have said, "Hey, go get some somewhere else." There's a lot of conversations that could have taken place.
Mm-hmm.
But suffering would not be part of that experience. It would be sacrificing, perhaps. My wife sacrificed for me because she said that, even though it's uncomfortable for her, there's other way. But when he said suffering and faking, that's a whole different spin on why I say selfish, selfish, selfish.
Gotcha.
And being a man, like you said, you believe men have needs. Being a man, that's some propaganda that we like everybody to believe so we could get what we want.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a need. What's a eunuch? A eunuch is a man who can't have sex because he has no member. So he ain't in need of. So is that like an impossible scenario for a man to have? There's men who don't desire to have sex and sometimes take sabbaticals for whatever reason. So if it was a need, it wouldn't be possible to do that.
Now you called it a eunuch? Maybe I'm learning something for the first time tonight. Did you say a eunuch? Like for real. Maybe I'm learning something for the first time tonight. Is that a person that don't have a member down there? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. It's like the
Does,
dude off.
does anybody else know this term in the chat? Don't make me
Yeah.
feel alone, y'all.
Yeah. Game of Thrones.
See, I've never watched it.
Okay.
Well, it's not
That's
just
what I'm saying. Is this a well-known term or is it just
I mean,
used?
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
that's something we don't have to deal with over here. So I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm
I
like,
don't know why we brought it up, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
history
was
lesson.
using-
Back in the medieval years, back in
Huh?
medieval years, when they used to torture people or punish you, one of the biggest punishments is going chop chop of your pee-pee.
Right.
And that was the ultimate punishment besides hanging or burning to the stake or whatever. So if you, let's say, killed the king's son, argument's sakes, one of the punishment is no more banging.
It wasn't just a punishment. It was also something that they hired the guard to secure the premises, not having a distraction of wanting
Exactly.
women, not distraction of being
Or
like the queen.
Or if a slave did not follow an instruction of the master, they will literally rip it out. Not cut it, rip it out. What's Spartacus? You see what I mean?
A little too graphic, but it was back in the days of
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Hey, we learn things on the Monday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
But before we move on, I want to touch base on something with the need thing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need anything in life. We want things. That's a big difference. And we have to keep that in check as men and women. Like, I want $1 million. I want a house in a Lamborghini. I like those things. I don't need that in my life. Though, even sexual things, I love sex. I want sex. Doesn't mean I need it. If my wife is suffering, that's my first priority. I don't care if the house is clean, cooking, none of that stuff. I will do whatever I need to, however I need to, and how many jobs I have to work. If I have to work 4 jobs, not sleep, and do what I need to do, and make sure she gets her treatment and beat this, that's what matters. And at the end of the day, when she's healthy and ready, we're going to make it up. Simple as that. I'm not worried about the sexual at that point because she needs me to support her. Like if I was sick, great example, I had a kidney stone. My ex was there. 100%. And it was 8.5 millimeter. I needed it. I couldn't do anything for 3 weeks. She didn't need it. She supported me. She was same. It goes both ways. It's a two-way street here.
Right. Alrighty. So y'all are saying that I the way that I see it is that sex is not necessarily, I don't know, I always saw sex as a need for men, but it's not a big need for single men. I think that, that energy and extra, power should come out in different ways. But in a marriage, I would think that that is needed. And I think, like I said, we just have to have the difficult conversations when it comes to in sickness and in health, and death. Do death do us part? Even people that pass away in our lives, that are close to us, because I think those are things that really shift relationships. And you talk about your preferences and your significant others preferences and things like that, but when things start happening on the outside of you, or things that you can't control, have you had those conversations? So I thought that was a good one to bring to the platform, to have that conversation, and for people to start having those conversations, because you never know who's going through what now. You never know who's going through a situation where it's a period of time where they don't have the desire anymore, and it could be due to health reasons. And so those are uncomfortable conversations, because you do know that your partner has a desire, to the point where to them it is a need. They've been needing it all this time, and you've been giving it. And so to for it to stop and there be no conversations surrounding it is, it makes the relationship a little rocky. Although we know what the circumstances are, those tough words have to be said instead of assumed, or well, I'm sick, like it can't just be so cut and dry.
Yeah, well, Precious, again, you're going to be a precious asset to your husband with that perspective, and we commend you for that. But you also have to put into perspective. You're a Scorpio, so y'all have a little different. Y'all have a little different perspective on sex than most other people. So,
What? I don't know
yes,
about that. I don't
do.
know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Fellas, anybody ever had a Scorpio in their life?
Yeah, I don't get into the horoscope sign, so I don't.
Yeah, same here.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I'm a Sag, so do I need to say more?
what was
I,
that?
I don't know what that means, and I honestly don't think horoscopes factor into how a person is. I think it's an excuse thing.
Believe it or not,
I-
King, if you read the signs, a lot of people's personality matches very well.
And believe it or not, if you look at it scientifically, and I'm not too much into that thoroughly into it, but scientifically, somebody gave me this example the other day. They said if the stars and the moons can actually shift the ocean, why couldn't it shift human beings in a certain?
I think it does kind of, a very small percentage. I don't think I think that the moon and stars and astrology is very fascinating, for those who don't study the moon and the stars and astronomy and things like that. Um, but I think it does. I think that the moon is it does shift nature, and we're a part of nature. And so I think you should look into it, but I don't think it should be the sole reason of certain things. Like I do this solely because I'm a Scorpio.
Well,
There are some things I feel like I do because I'm a Scorpio, but I don't. It's not my end all be all.
well, just for the record, what is said about Scorpios are
Mhm.
that sexually driven, one of the most sexually driven signs in astrology.
Yeah,
So,
well, I don't know if either one of them is a Scorpio, so
no, I'm sharing with
I
you
don't
that,
know.
or that's what this is not my assumption. This is actually what has been said and read and is put out there about Scorpios.
I've read that. I've read that. I've read that. But so you're saying that my views are different. I don't know. I just think that everyone should think ahead. I think that everyone should be proactive in their thinking,
Yeah,
whether it comes to sex, whether it comes to, education, no matter what it comes to. I think that we shouldn't wait till things arise for us to be like, oh shit, what do we do now?
I agree with you, and I was just making fun of the fact that you're gonna have a happy husband because you feel his needs are, he needs that sex, and he ain't ever gonna be unhappy in that category, and so we commend you for that. And your husband is going to be blessed for that. And okay, joke lost a long time ago. We're gonna leave that one alone. Fast
I
forward, move.
The only question I got: do you know how to cook?
What was
Yes,
that?
I cook. We gotta eat out here. Like what?
Hey, I'm a
Let's
chef.
eat.
I'm a chef.
Do I like?
Like,
Do I
so.
like? Oh, I see what you're doing here, Booming and Remember. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. But we're gonna go on to the next topic, because in this topic, this is where we're actually going to I'm gonna get you guys involved. If anybody wants to be involved in this activity that we're going to do, enter at your own risk. But we're gonna watch a video and kind of expound on it and take some steps to what they're talking about in the video. And I figured I'd use my platform in order to do that. So I'm going to use the guys up on the platform if they don't mind participating. We're gonna add this.
Speaks to the
For sure.
it kind of, sorry to jump in, but I really want to make this point. It kind of speaks to the primacy of our psychological need to heal those initial wounds. In that, if you've got a girl in front of you and you could have a romantic connection with her, but subconsciously you're sabotaging it, you're picking fights, you're provoking behaviors, what your brain is trying to do is resolve those emotional wounds that Dr. Orion was talking about from earlier on. And that just says everything, that how big an impact this trauma stuff has on us, in that when choosing between, should we just enjoy the present moment and have nice feelings of love, or should we make this a hell, but it's a hell that's potentially going to heal this deeper hell that's inside me, the brain moves towards this. And so men, don't underestimate it. Men are way too cocky about their mental health. You've probably seen this, like, I'll just go to the gym, I'll just make a whole bunch of money, I'll just fuck enough women, and then that'll solve it. It won't. It won't. You got to take this stuff seriously, because if you don't, when the time comes and you're in front of a good woman, if you haven't sorted your shit out, you'll fuck up the relationship. You'll sabotage it because your brain so desperately needs to heal this stuff. And I've just seen, sorry for getting a bit worked up, but I've seen so many requests in my Hey Hero, in my Patreon DMs, from guys who have fucked up good relationships because they underestimated how messed up they were inside, that they didn't take it seriously. And so I really, really want men to hear that message, that if you want to have a good relationship in the future, you can't half-ass this. You got to sort yourself out. Relationships with good women are a luxury of the men who've done the work on themselves. It's not available to anybody else. The best that you're going to be able to have is a dysfunctional relationship. And as far as I can see, that's an absolute truth. I've not seen it work otherwise.
For sure.
Alrighty. So what do you guys think about that clip? Because he said a mouthful, and if we have to watch it again, we will and just break it down. But what do you guys think about that? Guys doing the work and at times self-sabotaging the relationships. Have you been in a situation where you self-sabotage a relationship and it end up costing you?
Actually, I have. When I was younger, when I got my first serious relationship, I realized I had a lot of trauma from that relationship. So one relationship after the other, I was sabotaging it, like find every little excuse to run the other way. I'm like, things was going well, month or two, next, same thing, 2 months, next, and then realized I was suffering from trauma. It didn't take for a very long time. A good friend of mine, CQ, King knows him too. He took me years to convince me to get help. Not because of my relationship choices, just in general, what was going on in my life. And I'm in therapy now. I'm not gonna deny. I'm very proud of it. And I'm seeing a female therapist. I'm great. I have not been this good in my mental game in a very, very long time. And anybody who doesn't think mental health is serious, check yourself very carefully. You need, if you don't have any issues, your life is perfect. Still go see somebody once in a while, have a conversation. Just let it out. I call it dumping the garbage out. That's a little saying I just came up with myself about 30 seconds ago. Dump the garbage out. It will help you so much. I became very passionate about this now, to the point like I look at people like, get help. Oh, I can't afford it. There are ways to afford it. There's no, give me money or time. Don't be I'm a man. I don't need this. Okay, yeah. And like you can go to the gym and work out, and the gym works great. Martial arts. I'm martial arts. That worked great. Going to the range, put some steam. That works great. But it does not fix the problem. It puts a Band-Aid on it. You want to get rid of the Band-Aid and get rid of the stitches and heal yourself over time. It takes baby steps. This is not a marathon. it's not a race, it's a marathon. It takes slow steps. Even sometimes I still talk to my friends. If I can't get to my therapist for some reason, I vent to my friends. There's nothing wrong to venting. But when you're sabotaging your life, and I'll be honest with you, when I said those relationships I destroyed, when I started getting fixed, I realized I did that. I reached out to them and I apologized to them because I wasn't fair for them.
Thank you. I appreciate that, King.
So I know that this is the Monday Night Men's Panel, and in that specific video, the audience that the guy was talking to, in which, yes, he did say a lot, but he said, men do the work, otherwise that you can self-sabotage. This is one of the advice that it doesn't really, the audience shouldn't be just one specific gender. I think that advice should go to everybody. And we've talked about it on your previous live streams as well, in that if you're going to choose to have a relationship with somebody else, heal through whatever you have going on in your life first, because if you do bring somebody else into that, yes, you could subconsciously do things that you're not intentionally trying to do, but let one bump in the road come along and you hit that bump. Now your body's going to be preconditioned to maybe throw something out there instead of course correcting and just trying to get back on that smooth road. So what the guy said and everything that it took him to say it in the its version, it shouldn't be just men do the work. It should be people do the work, heal from your trauma so that you can have an increased chance of having a successful relationship if that's what you desire.
Okay. Sean, it looked like you were agreeing with King.
I was going to say the same thing. It's not gender specific that he was speaking to. I think that anybody who's unhealed needs that. To the point that was made earlier, you need to vent often when you harbor stuff. Everybody doesn't harbor stuff. Some people let it out naturally, and some people, when they let it out, they let it go, and and many people do not. And so therapy is necessary. When you harbor stuff and don't let it go and resentful, it will cause bitterness, and it will cause a lot of other mental challenges that we speak of often. But everybody is not built that way. Some people actually do release. Some people actually do talk. Some people actually do forgive. Some people actually do the things and the work that's necessary. I don't feel the whole world is traumatized. Has the whole world, might they have been through trauma? Yes. But is the whole traumatized? No, I don't. I don't believe that. Because some people actually do release. I feel the traumatized are people who harbor, people who don't, who don't know it. That's another thing. I get it. You might not recognize it. You might not realize that, or go that deep into your life to learn that, wow, this could have been a traumatic scenario. And we might find some things that we overlooked or missed. I get all of that. But to sit and harbor it to where it needs to be vented all the time, I don't think that exists in everyone, but it does exist prominently in many.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you, Sean. How about for you, Hank? What did you think of the clip? And I could play it again, either before or after.
If you can't play it again, that would definitely help me. Appreciate that.
Sure.
It kind of, sorry to jump in, but I really want to make this point. It kind of speaks to the primacy of our psychological need to heal those initial wounds. In that, if you've got a girl in front of you and you could have a romantic connection with her, but subconsciously you're sabotaging it, you're picking fights, you're provoking behaviors, what your brain is trying to do is resolve those emotional wounds that Dr. Orion was talking about from earlier on. And that just says everything, that how big an impact this trauma stuff has on us, in that when choosing between, should we just enjoy the present moment and have nice feelings of love, or should we make this a hell, but it's a hell that's potentially going to heal this deeper hell that's inside me, the brain moves towards this. And so men, don't underestimate it. Men are way too cocky about their mental health. You've probably seen this. Like, I'll just go to the gym. I'll just make a whole bunch of money. I'll just fuck enough women, and then that'll solve it. It won't. It won't. You got to take this stuff seriously, because if you don't, when the time comes and you're in front of a good woman, if you haven't sorted your shit out, you'll fuck up the relationship. You'll sabotage it because your brain so desperately needs to heal this stuff. And I've just seen, sorry for getting a bit worked up, but I've seen so many requests in my Hey Hero, in my Patreon DMs from guys who have fucked up good relationships because they underestimated how messed up they were inside, that they didn't take it seriously. And so I really, really want men to hear that message, that if you want to have a good relationship in the future, you can't half-ass this. You got to sort yourself out. Relationships with good women are a luxury of the men who've done the work on themselves. It's
Alrighty. So relationships with good women are a luxury to the men who's done the work on themselves. Hank? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think they are a luxury. I mean, if the man is, as long as he's done work. Look, a woman shouldn't get with a man who's not in the midst of doing work or who has already done work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't encourage no woman to get a broken man. That's not going to be beneficial to you. Because as soon as he's together, she's going to be messed up because psychologically dealing with all his bullshit. It makes her thin to me.
What is so and this is for the viewers, interactive here. We're interactive. Okay. So what would you say to a woman? What does a broken man look like? What is that experience like? And grooming and reviews, I'm gonna ask you, and Hank, of course, I want you to answer as well. But grooming and reviews is very transparent in saying he sabotaged his relationship. So what does a broken man look like? What is that experience like?
Well, to me, a man who is depressed, a man who is not who's not owning up to his issues, whether if it's some of his vices, whether it's a gambler, alcoholic, a drug user, one who's not holding a steady job, who's not really asserting himself as far as maybe in his career, somebody who is maybe too laid back to the point where he's just, if he is lost a job, he's not in a hurry to find another one. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't have no get up about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Very overly aggressive when you do challenge him.
Mm.
One who doesn't really want to listen. You know what I'm saying? And when you are being challenged, you know what I'm saying, you ready, like I said, you ready to fight and get into some type of physical altercation because you don't want to hear or handle that truth.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's not willing to seek help. Those to me are examples of a broken man.
Those are all great examples. Thank you, Hank. Grooming and reviews. What are your examples of?
I agree with most of it, but I'm going to add a little more to it. A man that is depressed, whose anger issues are so out of control, cajoling. Like I'll tell her, let's go to the movie. I don't feel like, no, we're going. Getting over screaming matches. I mean, like top of the line, like to the point I'm blowing your eardrums out. Like it would be. I was literally out of control at that point. Like nobody wanted to be around me. I didn't become alcoholic or gambling or that. I was working a lot, but I didn't give a shit. I really didn't. If I got fired, I got fired. Well, big dog, get another job tomorrow. I don't care. I'm a chef. I can find a job easily. There's so many restaurants. I didn't care. The only thing I cared about at the time is the next best thing. The next best thing. That's what I was looking for. And one fell after the other. And every time, at first it was like rainbows and sunshine. Oh, she might be it. And I'll nitpick the littlest thing. Like her brother, it was, a gamer all day. He didn't want to do anything. Like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. Or she had, 2 kids from a previous relationship. I'm out. I'm like, anything you could think of, I will find an excuse to jump ship. Any excuse. Name it. I would have told you I did it.
So no direction. Like you didn't have any direction.
Exactly.
You were just like
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
And my father,
Welcome.
no offense to my father wasn't there to guide me and says, dude, you're messing up your life. He was
Mhm.
always working. He was a good provider, but he wasn't the father figure that I needed.
Gotcha. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Black Men Unfiltered Network. How are you this evening?
Man, I'm sunshine, partly cloudy. I am honeymoon happy and peacock proud to be in the building with such wonderful people. The actual King Smith, what's going on? Grooming and reviews. Never met you, man, but I'm glad to be here with you. Hink, my brother from another mother, and the uncammed up, my brother Sean is in the back. What's going on, my brother? How you doing, man? Oh, and last but not least, the celebrity herself, the real Precious.
Good
All right,
evening.
good
How
to
are
see y'all
you?
tonight, man. Good to see y'all.
Good seeing you as well. Welcome. What's up, brother?
Man, I was looking
So
in the chat. I seen something that got me as soon as I walked in. It got up in here. I'm like, what?
oh, okay. So what would you like to add to the conversation? We were just watching this video of a man pretty much saying that men should do the work. You know, a good person, well, a good. He said that a good woman is the luxury of of a man who puts in the work. A good
Can
woman is a
you share that
luxury.
video for me again, please?
Sure.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. I thank you so much.
Not available to anybody else. The best that you're going to be able to have is a dysfunctional relationship, and
For sure.
it kind of, sorry to jump in, but I really want to make this point. It kind of speaks to the primacy of our psychological need to heal those initial wounds. In that, if you've got a girl in front of you and you could have a romantic connection with her, but subconsciously you're sabotaging it, you're picking fights, you're provoking behaviors, what your brain is trying to do is resolve those emotional wounds that Dr. Orion was talking about from earlier on. And that just says everything, that how big an impact this trauma stuff has on us, in that when choosing between, should we just enjoy the present moment and have nice feelings of love, or should we make this a hell, but it's a hell that's potentially going to heal this deeper hell that's inside me, the brain moves towards this. And so men, don't underestimate it. Men are way too cocky about their mental health. You've probably seen this, like, I'll just go to the gym, I'll just make a whole bunch of money, I'll just fuck enough women, and then that'll solve it. It won't. You got to take this stuff seriously, because if you don't, when the time comes and you're in front of a good woman, if you haven't sorted your shit out, you'll fuck up the relationship. You'll sabotage it because your brain so desperately needs to heal this stuff. And I've just seen, sorry for getting a bit worked up, but I've seen so many requests in my Hey Hero, in my Patreon DMs, from guys who have fucked up good relationships because they underestimated how messed up they were inside, that they didn't take it seriously. And so I really, really want men to hear that message, that if you want to have a good relationship in the future, you can't half-ass this. You got to sort yourself out. Relationships with good women are a luxury of the men who've done the work on themselves. It's not available to anybody else. The best that you're going to be able to have is a dysfunctional relationship. And as far as I can see, that's an absolute truth. I've not seen it work otherwise.
All right, let me go ahead and put a nail in this board so it could stay. I think that everyone should go through healing. I just got done. This is so crazy. I just got done talking to a young lady who was talking about the same thing. I think people shouldn't wait till they get in a relationship to heal. I think you should go through healing. There's a lot of people walking around, men and women, who have been assaulted, been touched, went through things with their evil mom, evil dad, evil uncle, brother, sister alike, and they never sat on anybody's couch. And they grow up and they become these people, and everything that they touch is broken. They break everything because they can't even see themselves being happy. They can't see themselves being happy at all. They can't. Well, I ain't gonna say happy, because happy is temporary state. They can't see themselves having moments of joy in successful relationships because they haven't gone through the healing that they need to go through. And so many people are in denial, and so many people are delusional that they don't think they need help. And that's why their relationships continue to fail. And that's why when I said, I heard grooming and reviews going in when I came in, and I think I heard him say something. If I'm wrong, correct me. But that's why I teach these young men In our community, we don't go see the therapist at all. So that's why I tell young men, you shouldn't marry or date single moms. And the reason for that, I'm not being mean. I'm not saying they're not valuable or none of that. I'm saying if they haven't gone to get the help from the abandonment issues of that father, going through the stresses and the depression of raising a child by themselves, and then you think you're going to go in there and she going to all of a sudden become everything. No. She has some healing to do. And I think until that woman has had some healing and gone through the struggles of life going through therapy to get through those struggles of life, of abandonment from probably baby daddy, depression from the baby, until she gets that healing, I don't think that she should be in the dating pool. I think that broke people, hurt people. I'll land my plane there.
Thank you. And Hank, were you finished earlier? Because I asked you a question based off of what you were saying, but I wasn't sure if you were done with your statement with this.
No. I mean, like I said, I would not date some woman that needs help, needs therapy, that's broken. I wouldn't encourage no man or no woman to date a man.
Exactly.
There's no way I would do that. I would not, because again, now if they're in a process, if they're in therapy and we get together, okay, I can rock with that, because I know, I see the efforts, I see the works, I see what they're doing, so I can go with that, right? You know what I'm saying? But if they haven't been, if they're not in it currently, yeah, don't even waste your time. I don't care how nice they look, how pretty, how good they smell, none of that. I don't care how good the sex is, none of that matters, because your mental ain't gonna be right, because the bullshit you're gonna have to go through just to get that man or that woman to a right place, man. She may be right, but by the time you get done and get all that, you're gonna be all the way messed up, and you're gonna have to re-enroll. You're gonna have to re-enlist. You're gonna have to get on that Zoom meeting, all that count. So yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna sit this one out till you ready.
All right.
And that could take years, depending on the trauma, right? If that therapist have to dig from what daddy and mama and them did, and you 40 years old or 38 years old, and he got to go up through all that trauma and all the things and decisions you made based on the fact that you went through that trauma. So daddy caused you trauma, mama caused you trauma. You chose a man because you were looking for daddy, and then he caused you trauma. Then you move to the next guy, he caused you trauma, gave you an STD. Then you move to the next guy, he got you pregnant, now you got a baby. Then you move to the next guy, now you got 3 kids, 3 baby dads. You got to go. That's a lot of work for a therapist to do. And so that woman may not be ready for years. That's just, or the man may not be ready for years.
Right.
And I will say this, in addition to what he just said, you asked last week, why are you single? And I was playing around with it, but the real answer is that I'm not always willing to put in the time and energy necessary to sustain a relationship, simply for a lot of those reasons. Trying to identify that somebody is going through those things is a process in itself. Trying to do it without being intimate with them is a longer process. And usually that's how you got to weed through it. Once you, and at least this is how I do it. Once you put that intimacy in there, it clouds your better judgment, and you may not be able to see some of those signs. And those signs sometimes are hidden so deep, or denied, or just unaware. There's a lot of things that people throw under the bed or throw under the rug and never ever explore that rug again. And that rug just has a big bump in it that continues to hurt when you walk over it, but you don't even realize it. And then you got a stranger coming in and he walking, he like, yo, what is this lump in your house? And you like, oh, that's not, and that's just how it is. It's been that way for years. You used to it. They're finding it out. Then they go uncover it and like, yo, what is all this under here? You got a damn near a dead person under here.
Oh my God.
I mean, and that's really how drastic it gets at times. I'm of course exaggerating, but the skeletons that are there often are that drastic to where it can affect yourself in that relationship even further.
Gotcha.
Energy transfer is real. I don't care what
Yeah.
nobody say.
Well, when I was going through my stuff, it took me about 8 to 9 years to realize I had a problem. And there was a woman that, besides my friend that helped me, that said, dude, wake the F up. I tried to kick her out to her curb. Nope. Tried it multiple times. Every single month, I tried something. I mean, this is not working out. And eventually, we just grew apart. And I was okay with that. And she was okay. Well, that happens in life. But when she even looked at me like, you're a great guy. You have a good heart. But you need help. That I try to help you. And I was talking to my friend CQ. And he goes, dude, get therapy. Didn't listen to him then. Mm-hmm. And recently, I listened to him and I told him, like, I'm getting help. And he was like, I hear a boom and he fell off his chair. Like, you're okay? Like, yeah, I don't believe it actually happened after 11 years I've been trying to talk to you to this. But the point I'm trying to get to is if you think you're ready, you're not ready. I think everybody needs to talk to somebody at one point or the other.
I agree. All right. So we're going to do a little activity. There are these cards that I purchased that I have yet to use. But I think this would be a good activity for the guys. But I saw this on Instagram. It's called the Skin Deep. Now they have a lot of different additions to the cards, right? I don't know if you guys ever seen these cards.
This ain't Mr. Go's game, is it?
No, it's not. This is
Ain't you stupid?
This is the healing edition of the Skin Deep cards, right? So I wanted to play these cards with you guys because, like I said, conversations can be difficult to have. And in this particular video, they were talking about men doing the work. And I believe only Grooming and Reviews 101 kept it hot. Okay, he kept it honest, open, and transparent, and said, "Hey, look, I sabotaged the relationship. I was jumping from job to job. It was hard for me. I had to go to therapy. I had to go somewhere where I could get it out, right? I could actually talk about these things and not necessarily feel overwhelmed the way that that they had been feeling. So, or had he had been feeling. So, I'm going to go around, okay? And I want you guys to pick a number from 1 to 15. So, I'm going to start with Sean. We're going to end with King, and then we'll get into the last video of the night, and then we'll be out of here. But Sean, pick a number from 1 to 15. And these cards are like in no particular order. I'm just whatever number he says, that's the one I'm going to pick. Sean.
I think Sean's shaving his legs.
Sean ran. He said.
All right, well, Hank, you're up. And if you guys want to answer these in the chat, be my guest. I'll highlight some of your answers there. So Hank, pick a number between 1 and 15. Oh, you're on mute.
You muted, big brother.
Maybe Sean was muted.
7.
Too. 7? Did you say 7?
Yeah, 7.
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So I'm going to kind of rephrase it a little bit to kind of like be geared to you. How do you know when you're truly present with your significant other?
That's for everybody or just Hank?
For Hank, but if you guys, I mean, if y'all want to answer all the questions, I was just going to do one question per person. But
so the question was, how do I know
when you're truly present with your significant other?
Shit. Once I hear her voice.
Okay.
Petty P. When I hear
you hear her voice. So when you hear her voice, you know that you're truly present. So it really doesn't even take. That means you're pretty much truly present all the time. Whenever you hear her voice.
Oh, it depends on what day you ask her.
All righty. So that was pretty quick and easy. So we're going to go over to Black Man Unfiltered Network 1 through 14.
12.
All righty. 12. How do you inspire others?
Oh man, that's easy. Through laughter, being, honest, straightforward. Um, always having an encouraging word to say, but always in that encouragement, telling them, how we can be better, and how they can be better, of course. So that's how I do it. It's just simple conversation. I know you're a Bible woman, so the Bible says, I became all things that I may save one. So you have to adjust to your surroundings to save other people or to encourage other people. So that's what I do.
Okay. Sean, are you there? You ready?
Yes, I'm here.
You done shaving them legs? Somebody in the chat said it. Somebody in the chat said you was shaving your legs, big dog. I'm just trying to tell you what happened.
Pick a number between 1 and 13.
7.
When was the last time you felt really connected to someone?
May 20th, 2021.
Oh,
May
well, do tell.
20th, 2021. Okay.
I shared a story with the person. I was it's my ex. That was the last time we were intimate, but the first time the intimacy meant as much as it did. Now, for some reason, it felt like that was the first time she actually released all of her inhibitions and concerns and presented them to me in every way, form, and fashion. Where the first time she really acted as a wife in totality, although we're not married, and we weren't married. And I say that because she came over with her engagement ring. She can't, she was acting very cooperative, not having, and we had not been speaking for some time, and Mother's Day came around and she was with her mother and her aunt. And I guess they might have encouraged some of this because they're both married, and I wasn't speaking with her. I just kind of cut her off. And so that was the first time that I saw her on Mother's Day, and I took her mother and her aunt out, and she happened to join us. And I didn't invite her, but nor did I, say she couldn't come. So when we were there, I was like, all right, cool, you can come. I really didn't respond the way that I used to because I just wasn't present there, as you said earlier. Ultimately, we wound up spending time. We were going to Orlando together for our granddaughter's birthday. We didn't make it. We missed the flight, and we had to spend the night with one another. And that was one of the most magical nights. And I say it from this, I'm going from the inception of it, the start of it is, it started that way. Like I said, the engagement ring, the cooperativeness, just pleasant to be around one another for the first time in a long time. Not that it hasn't ever happened. So we had sex. It was literally in arms, woke up in each other's arms. It was one of the most beautiful, to where literally she cried during sex.
All right, Sean. All right. I really appreciate the details. I do, but
I'm just saying.
You said it was magical.
It gets better. It gets
So you got
better.
the younger the richest penis going on right
better.
now?
It gets better. Wait. I gotta share this part. Y'all. Seriously.
Hey, if you got anything to do with you turning around, I don't want to hear.
Wait a minute.
Watch this.
I thought this was a PG show.
Wait. Y'all gotta hear this. We woke up in the morning. We hear something out the window. I'm in the city of Hollywood. I look out the window. There's a peacock outside the window. I'm like, yo, what the hell is a peacock doing here? I'm in the city. It's not somebody's pet. I never seen there's literally a peacock on the fence. I got a picture of it.
You guys birthed the peacock doing all that magical.
Yo, so you said, when was I connected?
Stroked up a peacock.
Man, when was I connected? I mean, all of those things that I just described.
The sign from Jesus.
Man, to hit it off with a peacock outside the window. I haven't been intimate. I haven't had sex with anyone since.
Okay. I have a question. Wait. Sean, I have a question for you, my man.
What's up?
Have you thought about selling that story to a sex hub, a porn hub?
Yo, I haven't. No, because this is the first time I've ever shared this story publicly.
My
You
God,
can call it
it got to be on the Real Precious. Yeah,
Right.
it got to be over here.
the peacock pecker. You can name it that.
Yo, I
I'll be
promise
honest.
you. You
I'll be
asked
honest,
that
I thought it was a
question.
PG show.
Wait, did think about the question you
Look at
asked and how accurately I answered that. Think about the question you asked and how accurately I answered that.
Oh snap!
It's dope.
Look, all right. We're gonna move on to comment reviews, guys. We had a novella. We had a
Shano
whole
verse celebrate the Last Supper with his lady. after he done had her, he done ran off.
Hank,
I saw
Hank,
the
you ain't
sun,
never lie.
the
You ain't
moon.
never lie. What's my theme song, y'all? I'm just a bachelor.
Hey, I can hear it now. Hey, girl, look out that window. I rented a peacock.
Yo, I
Last
wish that happened. I promise you.
Oh my
He told the
God!
woman, he said,
It's
baby, you can fly away like it's peacock. Be free. Be free.
Yo,
Baby, baby, if you think you like this cock, look out the window.
yeah. Yo,
Yeah, you're gonna
King.
get clowned for this for a while.
This is
Sean,
when
but
you
you're
need
bringing
your
on yourself.
music, King. This is when you need to reboot your
Hey, I was
music.
trying to download it real quick. Just for this.
Oh,
So,
man.
King,
You got the picture. You got the picture, King.
He
Man.
gave, look, it says skin deep. Sean went skin deep. All right,
Skin deep.
we're gonna move on to grooming
Raw
and
dog
reviews.
and everything. Just
Picking
I
number
mean,
between
in fairness, we were together for about 10 years. So the raw dog was natural.
why you ain't married that woman, man?
right. That's another show.
That's a whole nother show. We won't go there right now. Let's
You
stick
found
with
out
the
something
peacock.
year 11, you ain't see
Sean,
year 3?
just so you know,
Let's stick with the peacock. All right, we
Okay.
had a peacock moment, y'all.
Grooming and reviews.
NBC.
I want to give you a little advice, Sean. Ready? Peacock oil is great for beards. That's all I'm gonna leave it to you.
Wow.
I only saw the peacock. I never got close encounters. It was out the window, and it was. By the time I went downstairs and took a picture of it, it was gone. And I was like, "Yo, what the hell?" That's where I believe Jesus is in my life, right then and there.
The peacock. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the sponsor of the show
hold on,
tonight is the Flying Peacock.
Precious, before you go, I have visual proof of Sean's story. If you see right there, down as a other screen, look down. There it is.
No, don't put it.
That's the peacock. It's right there.
Hey, you see all the eyes that was looking through the window?
Okay. All right, I'm done.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right.
All right.
Grooming and reviews.
Holla
Picking
for a
number
dollar.
between 1 and 12.
1 and 12. 9.
All righty. Let's see what the card says. When others look at your life, what do you think is the lesson they can learn from it?
Do me a favor. Can you repeat that? You're breaking up a little bit on my side.
Okay. When others look at your life, what do you think is the lesson they can learn from it?
Never give up. I have never given up to anything. I will pursue to it to the last breath of my body. I always say, and I do a Motivation Monday thing on my channel, and one of my biggest thing is, as long as I have oxygen and I can breathe in my lungs, nothing will stop me. I don't fall backwards. I fall forward so I can learn my mistakes, so I can teach it and pass it on to somebody else.
Okay. Thank you. And King, pick a number between 1 and 11.
Let's go with 4.
What is one emotion you should practice more of and why?
Ooh, man. Mm.
Do you need to phone a friend? Because we know one in the it's like
Hey, yeah, you know what? So actually, I might. So, to my boo thing, Kev, if you're listening, because my answer would say I don't think I'm empathetic enough, and I think that I need to. I would say I need to practice more empathy. But if you ask certain people or those that I love, they might tell you I'm the most empathetic person that they've met. But personally, for me, like somebody might be struggling with something, and I'll be like, I don't understand, you know.
Mm.
Or I might say, hey, that sucks, be better.
Okay, got you. You're very short and kind of abrupt with things you probably feel like you should be a little bit more compassionate about, or
Passion, probably. I think I would be, I could personally, I might say, I think I could use a little bit more compassion as I'm like seeing things. Some stuff I don't know. I think I can see through things like the situation with the one lady. Like as stuff started unfolding, I'm like, "Yep, things ain't adding up with that." Whereas other
Mm.
people, like here's a black woman that's missing, and if this was a white woman, like they'd have the whole National Guard going after her, and say yada yada. And then if it turns out that this is Carly Smollett over here, those same people, I'd be like, yep, see, this is why I don't use emotions early on in things. So I would say compassion.
God happened to me said I would say missing people.
Oh yeah, I don't miss nobody. I don't.
Don't miss
I
nobody.
don't know what it means to miss people. Like when I see you, I'll see you, and until next time, we'll link up. But I don't think anybody in their life will say that I've ever said I miss you. I don't understand that.
Okay. All right. So
And
thank you guys.
King, you are hard to link up too sometimes.
I thank you guys for joining in on the activity and digging deep. Some of us dug deeper than others, so I appreciate that. We're gonna get on to the last topic here, and it is small talk and verbal masturbation. So I know everyone's been waiting. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? ¿Qué pasa? So we're gonna get into this video. And if you guys need me to play this again, just let me know because they are kind of going into conversation and you got to listen closely.
Human faces this like paradoxical dilemma of like both being lonely and wanting to be around other people, but also despising people and wanting to be by themselves. We compensate for this contradiction with like small talk, with talking about ourselves endlessly. Because when you talk about yourself, you get to be by yourself without being lonely. You have the other person there, but they're just a placeholder for the illusion of dialogue.
And they're basically only using other people as a means of like verbal masturbation.
Absolutely.
I'm not speaking to you.
Yeah.
I'm like masturbating with your body.
You know what? I love that you call it verbal masturbation, because something that I also noticed at this party, and just I'm noticing it generally, is that love becomes impossible when we continue to use each other as a means of escapism.
So, do we need to break it down, or did you digest that in one helping?
I got lost.
That sounds like a bunch of bullshit between
Bullshit to me. Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead. You took it out of my mouth.
All right, so let's listen to the first part of what is being said.
Make Sean cam up.
All right, let's listen to the first part and we'll break it down. All right.
The modern human faces this like paradoxical dilemma of like both being lonely and wanting to be around other people, but also despising people and wanting to be by themselves.
All right, so let's just break that down, right? She says the modern person has a dilemma of being lonely and wanting to be around other people, but also despises people and wants to be by themselves. Right? So the modern person, again, they have a dilemma with being lonely and wanting to be around other people. What do you guys think about? Do you think that's true? Do you think that there's a dilemma of being lonely but wanting to be around other people, but then despising other people and then wanting to go back to be by yourself?
Yeah, that sounds confusing. You know,
Okay, so
you
what
hate being
about
lonely. You hate being lonely,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you want to be around people. But then when you get around the people, you realize, yeah, I really don't want to be around these son bitches.
Yeah, it's a dilemma.
Yeah.
I think it's a dilemma that a lot of
Well,
people have, especially now since social media. But I'll let y'all take it away.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see that
I don't
sometimes
get
with
it.
my family.
Mhm.
You
well,
know,
in,
I miss them. I want to see them. I want to interact with them. But then once I get around, I'm like, ah, damn, these motherfuckers are crazy. Ah,
I,
damn, let me get up out of here. They bring my IQ level down.
I
Mm.
I got a friend who has an issue with not having a lot of friends, right? And wanting friends, has this desire for friends. Yet complains about how people have taken and friends have taken advantage of them on so many occasions, and not wanting to be that person that gets taken advantage of. And I'm like, yo, so you want to have these friends, and then the friends that you happen to choose don't do right by you, and you gain resentment and bitterness, but yet you're lonely and want friends.
Mm.
That's kind of what that reminded me of.
Mhm.
And it's very confusing to me because I'm like, yo, I got a lot of people that I know and who I can call friends. And I'm like, yo, I'm not rushing to find more. I'm not, I'm not out there to have a lot, because to the point that she made, people do sometimes take advantage and or aren't as genuine as a friend as sometimes I would prefer.
Mhm.
So if you cannot reciprocate what I won't ask you to do anything that I don't do myself. But if you can't reciprocate what I do, it feels kind of empty to me. And I sometimes get hurt in those situations. Or I don't want to say hurt, but I'll say hurt just for the sake of conversation. And I don't like that feeling. So I prefer to either identify how genuine they are or not even put the energy in to try and find out who they are in the first place.
Mhm. Now, earlier you kind of alluded to, you were saying how it takes work to see where someone is like emotionally. You kind of said something alluding to that. Like, it takes work. It's draining sometimes.
Right.
So if we're going off of that, because we talk about family and getting back to the order of things. So if we're talking about that and the dilemma of being lonely, because let's face it, it's not good for man to be alone. It's written that way, and I believe that is that way for a reason. I believe that God sent women to men for a reason, and the biggest reason is for you to not be alone. So let's just say other men carried that, you know, that idea of, hey, it's going to take a lot. Like it's a little bit draining. I don't know what she come with and things like that. Is that a big dilemma of being lonely and wanting to be around other people and then despising them? Let's just say you find out something about her and you're like, dang, I should have never even crossed that line because now I want to be by myself again.
Well,
So how do you balance that out? How do you say, it's worth being alone or it's not worth being alone?
Let me clarify something. I never said that because I don't like to invest the time that I'm alone. I never said that. I and have a lot of friends. So loneliness is not something I suffer with. Having company and in whatever capacity I choose is available.
Mhm.
It's just, do I exercise it all the time? No, I exercise it conveniently or when I what I feel is comfortable or safe. Now, for example, getting intimate with people that I can be intimate with is not always fulfilling to me because I don't see peacocks at the end. No, but seriously, because there's a lot more that is involved when you cross those bridges. And so I'd rather just stay in the company of those people and get to know them and enjoy that part of them to where I'm not lonely at all. I'm just not engaging and going that far.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So did we finish playing the video? But no, we're going in increments. So did you guys get that first part? The dilemma of being lonely versus wanting to be around people, but also despising being around people and then wanting to go back in your corner. Did you guys understand that? Do you get that? Or so y'all never experienced that? Y'all never experienced,
if I may
you
say,
know, being lonely and wanting to be around people, but then being like, because I think I honestly think that people experience this when they have had a long period of singleness. I think it's experienced when you have a long period of singleness. It's like, all right, I've been by myself. So is it worth me getting back here in these dating streets, or am I good by myself and I just have my times where I'm networking or I'm around people and I don't necessarily have to be with them, but I can be around them and then go back into my corner when I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 14 years in for me and shit. I don't remember the last time I was lonely.
Yeah, and to your point, I just figured out why, because part of my job was being social for many of my life. So it was therapeutic when I would go to be by myself. So it wasn't something that I looked at as lonely. It was actually rewarding and fulfilling. Like, oh man, I don't have to be around all these people and all these different personalities and all of that, as I had to be because of my job.
Got you. So you found fulfillment in that.
Right.
Gotcha. All right. So we're going to get to the next part, but y'all lost on the first damn part. Let me.
We compensate for this contradiction with like small talk, with talking about ourselves endlessly. Because when you talk about yourself, you get to be by yourself without being lonely.
Y'all get that part? So you compensate.
This lady confusing the hell out of me.
I need y'all to. Are y'all using your
I'm
brain to the
sorry,
full
real precious.
capacity
I'm so
here?
sorry.
I know it's late.
I'm sorry.
You know what?
So she's saying you're compensating with that because you're used. Guys, work with me here. Because you're used to that loneliness, right? And you're not around people because you've now gone back into your corner. You're compensating that by talking about yourself all the time. Have you ever been around someone that talked about themselves all the time? Have you been the person that has talked about yourself a lot because you haven't been around someone, or you don't take interest in them because you feel like you connected with them? I'm not going to show interest. I'm going to go back into my corner and we're going to keep it moving. And so that person is just like, okay, it's a dead end here. He talks about himself all the time, doesn't want to talk to me about anything interesting. Is he really out in civilization, or is he by himself all the time?
Wow. Nah, I mean, if I'm talking to and they talk about themselves the whole time. Yeah, that's a total turn off for me. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just have to move on to the next. If the whole time she's talking about herself and everything else about her, and doesn't even think to ask about, what about me, or what do I do, or what am I interested in, or anything like that. So yeah, it's not good. So I don't know if I
Well,
get the
personally,
Anything to add?
I'm ready to go be by myself instead of just hearing somebody talk about themselves all day. No, if I'm out there, there's a reason why I'm putting myself out there. I'm definitely looking for some companionship. So I'm gonna definitely try to continue to press on. It's just she's not the one.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I talk with people about. I want them. I encourage and learn more about them, especially with somebody I'm interested in, because I'm trying to get to know them. So I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm kind of forcing them to talk all about themselves, and it might be eliminating me talking about myself, to where people are like, you don't ever talk about you. I have run into that, and I do not just with people I'm interested in, but people who know me. Usually I'm talking about something in their life and giving some type of advice. I don't know why, but that's just something I've been doing for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So nah, I don't ever find myself just talking about myself as a release, because I'm just not there with them and all that gibberish she was speaking. So I don't relate to that. It sounds like gibberish. It sounds like something she relates to, something she does, but not something I can even imagine.
Okay. We're gonna
well,
finish off this video. Go ahead.
I feel somebody talks about themselves, they're very self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to be alone at times to just recharge your batteries, play video games, watch a movie, read a book, whatever the case is. But as human beings, we need to be around people. We need to socialize. We need to go out for our drinks. We need to have dinner with somebody. You want to, or have a hug, or whatever the case is. It's just one of those things. Being alone, I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what you just highlighted with Corey, it's kind of where I'm sitting at with that. I'm like, hey, I'm focused on the work, and that's not really something that.
I think this is going. It's interesting, actually. I'm gonna run this back and watch it, but I think it's interesting. I think this is something that actually goes over men's heads. If I'm being totally honest with you, I deal
I
with
agree.
I date men, right? So I have been in situations where men aren't necessarily interested in the date. They do talk a lot about themselves, or they don't have progressive conversation. The conversation doesn't really progress, and I'm not sure if they realize that, or if that has to be something that's brought to their attention. And like I said, some men, when they have been single for a very long time, it's a little weird when they're back in the dating realm, because again, they talk about themselves, and she uses this word ma- verbal masturbation, right? That's what the topic is. And it's like you're there, you're with them, but it's like they're using you to talk to you, but not talking with you. And so you guys, as a man, or as men, you may or may not do this, or pick this out. I think more women probably would see this in men, and so that's why you guys are like, what? I don't relate. Um, because there are times, like I said, where men will talk about themselves, and they're not really careful in how they're speaking to a woman that they're dating, that they're trying to get more information from. It doesn't seem like they're there to get information. It just seems like there's an initiative or a mission that they're on, and they just continue on with that. And as a woman, you're like, what just happened here? or what is going on here? Are you not interested, or do you not want to ask certain questions, or it's a mystery? And so when I saw this video, I said, I wonder if men realize that this happens. This happens with women as well. But like I said, I think that when there is a long period of singleness, getting back in the dating scene and communicating is a difficult thing. And I don't know if anybody will be honest enough to, say that, but it's different out here in 2023. Unless you found somebody that
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
it's different for a lot of reasons too. Because hey, look, like let's throw this out there. I'm going to throw the whole pink elephant into the room as well. When you take a look at dating in general nowadays, you have people. How do I say this? There's websites like Syncing Arrangements that are popping up that people are using as dating sites. So certain guys can go, you know what? I'm not lonely because at any point in time, I could go out into this marketplace, go find me somebody at the junior college, have some fun for a little bit, and then go on about my day doing something else. So I think there's a lot of things
But
that
that's what I'm saying. How much real life is getting in there? Like, I think social media has played a huge issue because, or a huge, has played a huge part in the communication and the real life experience in the dating scene. Because, like you say, you can go on a dating site. You can, hell, you can go right on Instagram and you can like. But what do you really like in real life? What are you really like, and what do you really like? Like, I don't think that I think that those conversations are a lost art. And quite frankly, I don't do small talk. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like, don't just text me, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm great. How are you? And you just text back, and that's it. To me, that small talk is irrelevant. Like, was there a meaning? Did you really want to know how I was? Like, it's irrelevant. So I think that conversation is a lost art in dating nowadays because everything's so short. Everything is so okay. Everything is so emoji. Everything is so, it's just like, are you scared to talk?
You
Are
know,
you
like,
scared to
What?
communicate?
you know what it might be that you.
Someone did say something that I want to put up here. I just want to star what they said because it said something about a man. Some men might say the wrong thing that may sabotage the relationship.
You know what else? What I was gonna say that you might be encountering right now is that all of us men are here talking on panels and have conversations regularly. We're not missing communication skills or the ability to strike up and have some in-depth conversations. We're not those men that you just described. Now,
Mhm. Mhm.
a lot, yeah, the dating scene is horrible out there for both men and women. That's why I sing my song. And by the way, I changed my song from "I'm Just a Bachelor" to "I'm Living the Single Sing."
Oh my
But
god.
that's my new song. But it's hard. It's hard out here, and I encourage and I share with all of my friends, girlfriends especially, like, yo, if you got a good one, keep them because there ain't that many good men out there. Just the same way, if I ask you right now to hook me up with a good woman, you'd probably be a little bit reluctant. I
Mm.
know I would be reluctant if you hook me up with a good. I only have two, and they're taken.
You say you would be reluctant if someone hooked you up with a good woman?
No, I said that if I ask for someone to hook me up with a good woman, they might be reluctant because they might not have one that can fill that void. And I said I would be reluctant if someone asked me to hook them up with a good guy because I'd be like, yeah, I don't really got too many good guys that I know. Only couple are taken, and the rest of them, I wouldn't do it because I know what they're about. They will finesse you. They
That's
will
not
treat
a good
you good.
thing. That's not a good thing.
Realize that, but that's the reality of what's going on right now. I mean, fellas, how many good guys? If a girl, one of your girlfriends or homegirls came up to you and said, Yo, hook me up with one of your friends. How many of y'all got friends that y'all be like, yeah, he's that man you could get with?
All the ones I know are already snatched up.
That's what I just said. Hank, you got any?
No, I don't have no girlfriends like that.
No, I said guy. No, I said guy friend. Your girlfriends who asked you to hook him up with a good guy friend of yours.
I don't have no girlfriends like that.
Oh. And
Grooming and reviews.
Whoa, here we go. Being in the dating scene prior and now is horrible. Like, I feel dating apps has destroyed the dating thing. I agree with you. I don't like small talk. Like, give me a conversation so I can engage with you. So see if we have common interests before we move on to the next step, like exchanging numbers, talking on the phone, not texting, talking on the phone. I want to hear your voice, because over text, I can say something just being sarcastic, joking, being a smart ass, and she might take it all the way around. But if you hear my voice, you might, okay, he's just being a dumbass. But the dating game right now is almost obsolete. Like, you are reaching out, you're doing everything right. Your profile is correct, the pictures are up, your interest is in there. You've done everything to a T as a man, and you're still not getting any traffic or response. What are you doing wrong? End of the day, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just people right now, A, maybe don't want to date, and a lot of them, or B, is they're just sick and tired of scumbags, and you got good men out there. Like, I don't think I'm a bad person, but for some reason, people are not attracted to the good person who goes to work, take care of his bills, has his shit together, but they prefer the guy who's a bum, sleeps on the couch, and doesn't have even $1 in his name. Doesn't make no sense to me.
And to add to your point, it's not even that they're a bum. They're just the person that you get excited and get excitement with, and you want that excitement. That's what you're.
And I understand that.
That's your interest, and so you get that, but they're not fulfilling for the long term. They're good for the moment.
Corey says, "I won't date American women. Disney has ruined them."
Yeah, you see, here's the thing with the whole excitement thing. Ready? With the whole excitement thing. Yes, I agree with that. But I am a little bit old school, if you want to call it. Like, let me talk to you on the phone. I want to hear your voice. Let's go on a date. Let's go meet for coffee. Let's walk around the park. Let's be stupid and sit on a lake and throw rocks in the, skip rocks. Whatever. It's the old school mentality that our parents grew up, and that's how they met. It's not there anymore.
I agree.
I'm jealous of that.
You're lending to my point. That's what they would call boring. I'm not talking about you looking for excitement. I'm talking about the women looking for a good man, but what they're intrigued with is excitement, exhilaration, and fun. And so they don't see walking in the park on your first date as exciting, at least most of them. And when you find that one, stick with them. Trust and believe, stick with them.
And like some of the conversations I have, it start going, "Hey, how are you?" And the first question I ask, "Do you live alone? How much do you make?" I'm like, "That's kind of a personal. How much I make. Let me get to know me a little better. What does it matter how much money is in my bank account? My bill to pay. I have a roof over my head. Get to know me first before you ask me. I don't care if you ask me what my career is. I'm okay with that. But why do you need to know how much I make?" And that to me is a gold digger right there. And that's the other factor you have when you have people talk to you. They're just want a quick meal or something out of it.
Okay. We're going to keep on with the video.
You have the other person there,
Right.
but they're just a placeholder.
Yes.
For the illusion of dialogue.
And they're basically only using other people as a means of like verbal masturbation.
Absolutely.
I feel like these are the Good Morning Queens guys. It's just like she's just a placeholder. You don't already copy and paste. Good morning, Queen. Grand Rising. That's verbal masturbation. Okay,
Wow.
you are pleasing your morning wood by seeing which woman would give you conversation.
Well, the funny thing is, it's that when you're doing it not ungenuinely or non-genuinely, whatever, you're not being genuine about it. You're playing a game. But guess what? Women, y'all like that game.
Who
Y'all
likes that
like,
game?
most of the women, Precious, we're excluding you as we always
What
do.
woman has told you that she likes the Grand Rising text? I
It's
mean,
not
there's a
about
lot of women out here
it,
saying
it,
like, get rid of that.
it's not about liking that specific thing. It's about liking the compliments and liking the charisma. When it first came out, it was charming, it was charismatic. Now it's overplayed, so they don't like it anymore. But the same charismatic bull stuff that they enjoyed the first time, they just switch it up with something. Hey, how you doing, beautiful? You don't like all that queen stuff, and they just go ahead and charismatically talk their way into something because you enjoy the game, you enjoy the feeling that they are providing, and if they're not genuine, you get bamboozled. And we try to, at least on these panels, try to help women identify and not get bamboozled by all of the charm that we know our brothers do. We see it a mile away. We like, yo, you can't tell he full of it. You can't tell he gaming. How don't you? I see that just in the way he approached you. And we try and share it, but on deaf ears because it's charming. It sounds good. It's funny. Somebody said, I don't want no man to play no games on me on one of these panels, right? And then the guy came in and he said, I said, this is how I would do. I would say, yo, I want some sex. I don't really want nothing else. And I said, that has worked for me. So he's like, you can't do it that raw. You got to do it with a little bit more finesse. And the guy came in and he said, yeah, well, baby, you know what? Let's go ahead and get out of here. I want to get to here, see you a little better. And all the women, because he had a baritone voice and he said it smoothly. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. I said, but he just said he's just trying to get in your panties. And you just said that's not what you wanted, but you fell for it. Right as you saying you don't want that.
Here's the other thing. A lot of these profiles we read, I'm not here for games. I'm not here for bullshit. Yada, yada, yada. But if you're saying that, you're still creating bullshit because you don't want to give anybody a chance. So what's the point of even making a profile if you don't at least have a conversation? There's nothing wrong with just having a conversation, see how you're doing. And you might not even click, and that's okay because you gave the person a chance.
Right. I just think a lot of that conversation is I don't know, it's placeholder ish, you know. Thanks to Hank, he does have to leave, but I do want to thank him for being on the panel this evening. We're gonna finish this video out and then close out for the evening. I think we're almost more than half, or did we finish it? Did we finish it?
I think you did actually.
No, it's right here. Alrighty.
No, I'm not
Yes.
speaking to you.
Yeah.
I'm like masturbating with your body.
You know what? I love that you call it verbal masturbation, because something that I also noticed at this party, and just I'm noticing it generally, is that love becomes impossible when we continue to use each other as a means of escapism.
Now, what do you guys think about that? Because an escapist is someone who doesn't live in the real world, but dreams, wishes, and fantasizes instead. If you're an escapist, you might avoid thinking about unpleasant things by playing video games for hours. Some escapists can withdraw into their own heads, distracting themselves with daydreams. So when she says that love is, what did she say? Love is impossible. When we continue to use each other for means of escapism, what do you guys think she's meaning when she says that?
That's the realest thing she ever said.
Mm.
But that could be tricky too at the same time, because
Right.
that can be defined in different ways. Are you escaping reality? Are you escaping just your thoughts for a couple of hours? Just kick back, relax. You just want to unwind, or you have so much on your mind you do not want to bother. You cannot handle it, and you need to unplug. Which one is it?
I think it's dangerous. There's somebody that's commenting
Either
on
it's
the
not
Hank's
something
page.
that's going to be fulfilling for a relationship.
There's somebody that's commenting on Hink's page, and I want to highlight this. It's Miss Nurse Fancy. She talked about to me, it sounded like it's kind of being codependent on something to achieve this love, and I don't really quite understand that, and that's kind of where I'm leaning with it too.
Codependent. So I don't think that they said that love becomes impossible when we continue to use each other as a means of escapism. I don't think that you should use another person for escapism. And a lot of times people don't use other people. They use video games. Some people use work. They'll work to escape real life. And if they're at work and they're working, like someone said, us guys are working. We're not thinking about that. I think Corey said that, right? Us guys are working. We're not thinking about topics like this, right? But when you're joining with a woman, a topic like this might come up, or like the last topic that we spoke about. But it's something that completely goes over your head because you're escaping to work, or you're escaping to video games, or whatever the case may be, and you're not necessarily putting the thought that you need to put into certain things. You're not putting it there. You're putting it elsewhere. Um, but I don't think that you should escape to person, places, or things, because when you do that, then you're not really operating in your full self. You're running off of fumes at that point, and I don't think anyone can really make a sound decision when they're doing that. But I don't know if love. I think the only thing that you should escape to, I honestly think, is therapy and God. I think that if you're going to escape anywhere, go to therapy and God. And it's not even escapism. It's more of your. I wouldn't call it escapism. I should say. I would say you're more so running to something rather than running from something. Because when you're escaping, you're running from something. And I think that a lot of people do run from things. I think that a lot of people don't open their mouth, and they're not verbal, and they're not communicative, because either they don't know how to be. Their trauma has silenced them. Their trauma has, made them feel like if they did open their mouths, and then they would be ashamed. So I think a lot of people um join into escapism, and they don't even realize it. They don't really realize it. And I think that when you're escaping, so much more so than you're running towards what's going on with you, or what's going on in the situation, especially if it's a relationship, the more you run uh from it, the more it's going to be in your face, honestly. So
Agree.
yeah, I think that like Isaiah says, you have to ask yourself, like, why are you running? Why are you running? But that's why I like to have these conversations, so we can just think about things like this, because we hear about the same old on social media, and we hear these stories, but I like to put a real life spin to it, because until it happens, you're not really thinking about it. Until it happens, you're not really talking about it. And I think it's important to talk about these things beforehand. And again, I hope you guys go back and watch that last video. And because y'all was like, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know what's going on here. And it could be because it's late, so I give y'all the benefit of the doubt. It is Monday. I understand. But I think is all the topics this evening were pretty thought provoking. So if you get a chance, definitely watch it back. And if you haven't, subscribe and like the show this evening. But we're going to go around with final thoughts. I enjoyed this conversation with you guys. I really appreciate you for being hot, honest, open, and transparent as always, as well as in getting involved in this activity that I did this evening. I may bring these cards out. There are a lot of different additions to this card game, so I may bring some more cards out again, just to get us, kind of answering some questions and thinking deeper.
What
But
card is it? What card of game is it?
the Skin Deep card game, and this is the healing edition. So they have like a dating edition, they have, I think, a parents edition, they have a strangers edition, they have a lot of different editions of that card game. I initially saw it on Instagram, and it was two people sitting across from each other asking themselves these very deep, thought-provoking questions. So I thought it would be just good to have in my own personal life. And, like I said, I haven't used them yet. So I figure we'd use them tonight on the show, and we can use them Mondays coming up. But did you guys want to share any final thoughts before we exited stage left?
The reason why I said that was the realest thing they ever said is because right now so many people are using escapism and getting in relationships. Social media advocates it. The dating sites advocate it. Friends advocate it. Society advocates it, and it's an unfortunate reality. It's no longer about having relationships that are meaningful. It's having relationships that will help you escape whatever you're going through. And that's why a lot of times they fail for the long term. They absolutely have fun and are fun and enjoyable initially, but ultimately they fail because their intentions were never to have anything long term. It was to escape and use each other as escapism tools.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. At least we got something out of that video. Were those your final thoughts, or were you just wrapping it up?
I'll leave those as my final thoughts, other than I'm living a single.
Thank you. I appreciate your
It's
input.
all good. Y'all enjoy. Have a good night. Thank you for having me, Precious. And
Of course.
always a pleasure on the panel with everybody who is involved. So thank you, fellas. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Sean. All right, we're gonna go to grooming and reviews 101. Final thoughts this evening.
Yeah. Because I was instructed at one point to myself in relationships, don't be like that. If you think you're destroying something, is really good, get some help. If you don't want to get help, talk to somebody. Your best weapon is your mouth. That is the most lethal weapon you have, and the best, because you can help yourself by using the mouth. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you. All right, and my co-host, the actual King Smith. Your thoughts, sir?
And a ratchet person might come up. Hey, what that mouth do though? Now, I really like tonight's conversation, and the thing that I found interesting, especially on that last one, I'm still gonna have to wrap my head around what she meant by the verbal squish squashy. But with small talk and everything like that, every relationship dynamic is different. So that game, I co-signed that game. I think that game is an excellent card game because it allows two people to ask and answer questions that they just might not think about. And my lady and I, we've actually played on like car rides and things like that. We've brought it up, and the way that they phrase the questions, it kind of makes you go, huh? And then depending on how the other person answer it, you can kind of gauge your compatibility with that person. So I'd encourage people to, have those type of check-ins from time to time, because while I'm not a small talk type person, I can be long-winded, but as far as like small talk stuff, no, like when I say what I have to say, I say what I have to say and keep it moving. And then if I don't really have anything to bring up or say, I'm not saying anything. And I
Right.
can't get irritated if I think you're forcing me to make small talk when I have nothing to talk about.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you guys. I always appreciate you for coming on the show and being here. And even those who are in the chat who keep our chat going, our mods, King and me, I see you in the chat. Isaiah, you guys, Corey, We had Miss Nurse Fancy over here this evening. So I appreciate you guys. The Harris Tribe Media Group was in the chat. Black Man Unfiltered was on the panel. I really appreciate you guys coming through on a Monday and kicking it with us over here at the Real Precious. You guys, my final thoughts would be have the tough conversations. They're not always easy to have, but we have to have them. If you feel like they're worth your time, if you feel like they're worth your energy, because everything is not worth your time or your energy. And so, definitely make the investments where you have to, and where they're necessary. Um, Corey says, I can have deep conversations, but it depends on the person I'm talking to. And that is true because a lot of men, they're not just going to open up to any and everybody. So, you do have to be that person to bring comfort to the person that is sharing anything that they would like to share with you. So, I would definitely agree with that. You can have deep conversations, but it depends on the person you're talking to. And you got to know your people too. But I will say, in order to know people, you have to know yourself. In order to deal with other people, you have to know yourself because then you can weed out the people that you can tell are worth it, and the people that you can tell is just, it's not necessarily worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth a headache. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth, X, Y, and Z. But what I will say is for those people who have been single, don't let your single season cancel out a season where you can be joyful and you can be multiplying and you can be happy. Don't get so complacent in that single season. So that will be my final thoughts. And the way that you don't get complacent is you have these conversations. And if it takes for a card game to do that, then do what you gotta do. Or just stay your ass single and just say you want to be single. Just maybe put it on your forehead. Okay, so ain't nobody gotta be playing no games or guessing. Just say single forever, please. I'll take the number single forever,
Well,
It's
well,
okay. It's all right.
Precious, I don't like that card game because it brings the peacock out of me.
You know what? Oh my God. And on that note, folks, keep it real with your. Oh, what you got on your forehead? Does it say single? I'll take the single Happy Meal forever, please. Not Geico.
Nice.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch me over on a modern dating panel. La Peeve. Y'all just check my community page and I'll keep you updated. But until then, keep it real with yourself so you can keep it real with others. Y'all have a good night.